Welcome to Learn It, a series of digital scrapbooking tutorials by Studio Wendy at Scrapbook Graphics. I'm here today to demonstrate Cluster It 2. Cluster It 2 is a set of actions that I created alongside Studio Rosie Posey, along with her lifestyle kit, that will help you make some really fun clusters. You can use them with any kit, but I'm going to demonstrate them with hers. And it works a little bit differently than Cluster It 1 did, so we're going to go through each of these really quickly. I'm going to select the first one and press play. And we'll get a little note here reminding me that I need a bracket or ribbon or chipboard type element, 2 leaves, and 2 flowers. And we're going to go through in that order and select those items when we're prompted. And when we are prompted to choose that item, we are going to resize it to fit on the canvas provided. And this method is going to enable us to get approximate the original look of the original cluster. So let's press continue. And we're told that we can go ahead and rotate and position the element to fit that canvas. And if we need to, we can rotate it so that it best fills out the entire canvas. So let's press continue and I'll demonstrate that as we go. We're going to select our bracket first. And I've got one right here and press place. So now I want to fill out this canvas as much as possible. Whoa, not that much. If you cannot see your transform handles, just go ahead and press Command, Option, or Control Alt minus on your screen, and that will zoom out while leaving the window there for your control handles. And you can make this, you don't have to be exact, you can make this overlap a little bit in order to get it to fit as close as possible. So I'm going to make it slightly larger there and press Enter. Then it's going to be placed on my canvas, and in this case I am going to size it down just a little bit more so that it fits the canvas there, and press Enter. Next I'm asked to select a leaf or a branch. So I've got one here, click place. Now you'll see with this particular leaf that it's sort of rotated on an angle and it doesn't fill up the whole window. So what we're going to do is expand the size of it as well as rotate it. And by rotating it, I want to get it as straight as possible on this canvas so that I can fill it up at the right size. The action itself will also rotate and position these elements, but it is assuming that it is straight as it can be on this initial canvas. So when you're happy with it and you think it looks pretty straight, just press Enter. Then it's going to be placed here, and you can tweak this positioning as it runs if you want by simply rotating a bit by clicking out here. You can make it larger, smaller as it goes. I'm just going to accept this default here and press Enter. And the same with this one. Now I'm asked for a small flower. So I'll select one here. And again, this flower is not quite filling out the whole canvas, so I'm just going to hold Shift and size it up to fill as much of it as possible, and it can overlap a little bit off the canvas, and press Enter. Then it's going to place that on there, and now we're asked for the final element, a medium flower, and we'll repeat this process one more time. And press Enter. And there we go. Then we're prompted to save our cluster. We're going to save it as a TIFF first. And then if we wish, we can run the trim action to trim off the excess. If we are going to sell these clusters, it will save it as a PNG and trim that down. Or in Elements, you will be able to manually crop it down as you go. In addition, if we want to add more elements to it, we can by using the Add 3 action, which will just simply place 3 elements on there and allow you to size them and position them as you want for your creative look. So that's cluster 1. I'm going to close out of that and demonstrate cluster 2. In cluster 2, we need a frame, 2 leaves, a ribbon, and 3 flowers. First, we're prompted for the frame. If you receive one of these windows prompting you for the drop shadow, just press OK to continue. This is another one of those elements that I want to rotate so that I can fill out the canvas as much as possible. By keeping it as straight as possible, we can make it as big as possible. Then we're just prompted to save it. Those screenshots where you saw it prompting for the drop shadow, I'm going to fix those. Those should not come up for you. And in addition, you'll see here that it placed a second copy of a flower down here that was supposed to go up here. So by the time you download this, those two things will be fixed. In addition, if you purchase Studio Rosy Posey's add-on kit, you can get the styles that we created to go with these clusters. And if you load those styles, you'll be able to go over here to your styles palette and quickly change the depths of the various styles depending on what kind of effect you want on your cluster. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you this one, the trim action. So I'm going to press the trim action and press play. It's going to merge everything together and trim it down, and then prompt us to save it. First as a TIFF, and then as a PNG. I'll close out of that and let's run cluster C. We're going to select a stamp or graffiti for the back of this cluster. And this one's kind of up to you how much you want to fill this space up. In the case of this cluster, there are some little bits down here, and I'm just going to sort of go like that with it. And it's going to be duplicated there to stack. Then I'm asked for a long ribbon or a piece of lace. And I've got a nice ribbon here. And again, you want to fill this up, so we're going to expand it all the way up there. We're asked for a large focal point element. This is another one where by rotating it, we can fill up a little bit more of the canvas than we can just by leaving it alone. So we'll do that and press enter. Now a leaf or branch. Now we're asked for a flower to be placed 3 times. Next, we're asked for a medium flower. And finally, an extra large flower. And then we get to save it. That's cluster 3. And finally, let's look at cluster 4. First, we're asked for a nice stamp or graffiti for the base. Now we're selecting a word strip. We can pick the same word 3 times or 3 different words. And if you don't want a word strip, you can use anything in this section. It will work best though if it does fill out the canvas. Number 3. And if you're concerned that your elements remain the same size as other ones that you use, you can always size it approximately where you want the first one to be. Then take a look at this number up here, note it, and use that same percentage for the other similar elements that are that size. So I'm going to press enter. And that last one's placed there. And now we want a large element. This will be placed 4 times. I'm going to use this butterfly. And this is another one that we want to straighten out. And again, by straightening out the element, we are allowing the action to do the rotation work for us by better calculating the positioning of it. And it can go a little bit over. Press enter. And you'll see how the action is sizing these down in a variety of sizes and repositioning them. And finally is our small flower. And you'll see how quickly, if you prepare your elements and you know what you're including, you can make a beautiful cluster. We'll save the final one. And that's it for that. Now I did want to demonstrate the Photoshop Elements crop version of the trim action because it's a little bit different. It's not as automatic. So I'll go ahead and press play on that. We'll get the message. And then this crop box is kind of going to come up. And what you want to do is click and drag that around. You may have to hold down the Shift key to alter the proportion if your version of Elements requires that. And then you want to crop this in as close as you can to the element. Now with the graffiti, you need to be careful because sometimes you might have a little extra sticking out here that you don't notice. So the mask here kind of will help reveal that a little bit better. And you just want to crop it down so there's not quite as much white space around it, especially if you are selling your clusters, to keep your file sizes down. Press enter. Then again, we can resave the TIFF file and save a PNG. And one quick note, all of these layers are left intact here, so you can move them around if you wish. For example, this big butterfly here is overlapping those words, so I might want to move that over. And then because of that, I might want to move this one over as well. So you're able to make those minor adjustments that you need when you're using a different kit or you size something just a little bit different than what the original look intended for. So that's all there is to cluster it. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Thanks for watching this episode of Learn It.